And I'm Taylor DiChello. Close game the other night, Alex, for Loyola, but the 7th-seeded Greyhounds were able to pull out the W late in the second half after trailing for most of the game. Defense is the main focus of the Celtics as they prepare to face the Denver Nuggets. They're missing key player Al Horford from the lineup because he's out on a concussion. Now, he is 24 hours symptom-free, which is a good sign, but he's still not cleared to play because of the concussion protocol. Yeah, BU's coming in cold, and they can't take this game for granted. They're the number 2 seed, but Loyola still ranks 2nd in the league in offensive rebounding. BU can't afford to give up any putbacks. I think if they stay focused on both ends, they'll be able to avoid an early exit, like unfortunately we saw last year.
There's no denying the Bruins have had their struggles at home lately, but they were able to catch that W on Sunday afternoon. Now they're going to have to keep the spark going without Pasternak in order to clinch that playoff spot. It's the first time the Rangers are heading up to the Garden tonight, and they're currently leading the league in goals. Coach Julian says, though, that this shouldn't be a problem if the Bruins play the way that they have been all season long. It's the halfway point in the season for the BU swim and dive team. This weekend is one of their biggest meets of the season, and it's all in preparation for their conference championship meet at the end of February. It's go time for the Terriers as one of the most important meets of the year approaches, the Terrier Invite.
We're going to be going up against 6, 7, 8 different teams on both the men's and the women's side. So other teams are going to be pretty ready to compete at a high level. So I feel like we have to be ready as well.
Last year, the Invite was the first meet the Terriers had since they were told the teams were losing their scholarship money. Coming off of the news, the women's team finished in 2nd place, while the men finished in 4th, falling 2 places from the 2014-2015 season. This year, the Terriers have a new outlook.
We didn't really lose our team focus. Our team focus is always having a really close connection with each other, and our main goal is to do well at conference.
We all kind of realized how much we care about the team and how well we want this team to do. So it's kind of instilled us with a new sense of urgency to really train hard together, have each other's backs and work hard so we can really perform and prove the athletics department wrong.
And going forward, the Terriers look to continue to claim their place in the Patriot League, right on top.
As far as diving goes, I think we've always had a pretty commanding lead over most of the Patriot League. When it comes to Navy, that's our definitely biggest challenge as far as moving forward. Bucknell in the past used to be pretty challenging for us, but this year it's been looking like we're going to have a pretty strong lead coming into Patriot Leagues.
We wrapped up a tremendous fall recruiting season. We had 8 verbal commitments for the women, 6 verbal commitments from the men, and the quality of those competitors is very high. So teams may be a little bit surprised that we don't simply fade away because we don't have this funding. We're going to be pretty darn good for years to come.
The Terriers dive into the water at the Boston University Fitness and Recreation Center at 10 a.m. on Friday for the preliminary events. The diving starts at 1 p.m. and the meet continues through the end of the weekend. The BU lightweight women's rowing team will hit the water again as their winter training comes to a close. They'll be in Clemson competing at the Spring Break Regatta, even though they haven't touched the water in months.
We're using the ergometers, or the ergs.
The ergs simulate what muscles will be used on the boats, but aren't able to mimic all of the factors on the water.
Wind, current, that will definitely be a factor in kind of whipping your body back into shape.
While the competitors are able to be out on the boats year-round, assistant coach Abby Knight says using the ergs puts the team at an advantage.
While they may be getting some more technical time on the water, the physical nature of the erg and the mental component that goes along with it can really bring a lot of strength that you don't get if you spend a lot of time on it and kind of make friends with it along the way.
And it would be a bad enemy to have. While they do cross-train, the women still spend 6 days a week on the ergs when the river is frozen. And it's all in determination of completing one goal, winning the IRA championships in June.
I want it more than anything, and I'll do anything to get it. So if I have to erg for 3 hours a day, 6 days a week until the river is unfrozen, I'll do it.
While the weather is still the biggest obstacle rowers have to face, Michaela says they're all in the same boat.
on race day, everybody is going through the exact same conditions, and it's just whoever crosses the finish line first is going to be the crew that is best handling them. So instead of a challenge, I've really turned my view around to look at it as an opportunity to prove ourselves.
For BUTV 10's News at Noon, I'm Taylor DiChello.
Welcome back to the second episode of DiChello on Deck. I'm Taylor DiChello, a springboard diver at Boston University, here to give you all the information you need to know about the diving events in the Olympics this upcoming summer. Now, a little bit of recap from last episode. We talked about the different events there are in diving, the 3-meter springboard and the 10-meter platform, both individual and synchronized. Now, I mentioned that the women only compete 5 dives and the men compete 6 dives, but what are those dives? There are 5 different categories of dives on the springboard and 6 different categories of dives on the platform. The front category, number 1, consists of a hurdle and a dive that moves away from the board in a forward direction. On the platform during synchro events, all front dives must be completed using a front-running approach. Category number 2, the back category, are dives where the diver stands at the end of the board and faces the board. They do a dive backwards into the water. Category 3 is the reverse or gainer category. The diver does a hurdle just like a front dive and jumps away from the board, but flips backwards towards the board. On the platform, divers start at the end of the platform facing outwards and perform the dive standing instead of doing a hurdle. Category 4 is the inward dive. The diver starts in the same position they do as a back dive, facing the board with the water behind them, but dives towards the board in a forward motion. Category 5 is the twister category and consists of any dive in categories 1 through 4 with a twist added. For example, a back 1.5 can become a twisting dive by adding 2.5 twists. The 6th category is only for platform dives, and it is the arm stand category, or most commonly known as handstands. The diver starts in a handstand facing forwards or backwards and initiates the dive by launching themselves off the platform from their hands. So we know the different dives there are now, but it gets a little bit complicated from here, so stay with me. Episode 3 is going to be all about the category numbers that are assigned to each dive so that the divers and judges know what dive the diver is performing based on the number. All right, be sure to check in because it's going to be an interesting one. Thank you for watching. I'm Taylor DiChello. This is DiChello on Deck.